How many people here live in a house or a condo or an apartment, hopefully not a casket? How many would say that where they are living right now is exactly the way they want it? They wouldn't change a thing. That's interesting. I'll speak to that, both Paul and Charlie. How about life? How many people would say that their life is exactly the way they want it and they wouldn't change a thing? Only in this room would I have people who would say that everything was perfect. And I think that that is a true attribute and a point that I will speak to later. But most of the places where I ask that question, the answer to both is no, I'm not satisfied with my house or my life necessarily. And I think that is why probably the two biggest boon businesses in America are the home improvement industry and the self-improvement industry. I can thank the home improvement industry as an interior designer for giving me a career. I can thank the self-improvement industry for having provided me with so many books, CDs, seminars, and theories for my assiduous addiction to improving myself that I have driven most of my friends and family crazy and actually made my ex-husband run away. I think that this pursuit of improvement is one of the things that I really like about America. I think it's part of our optimism. I think it's part of why we believe that there is great hope and faith that things can get better. I certainly have been somebody who has spent a lot of time thinking about improving and working on improving things. The problem is when this pursuit becomes restless and relentless and comes out of a desire to change things because we've lost the capacity to appreciate. I think it becomes a problem when we want more and more and more and bigger and better and best because we no longer have the capacity to be content and we've lost the ability to discern what's enough. What really is enough? Having, owning, improving, acquiring, those are all important things. But really, when do we decide we have enough? In the mid-1990s, I started my own career, DM design, in Washington, D.C. And clearly, owning, having, improving, acquiring is the fuel that drives the interior design business, and it certainly drove mine. I think when I started, that what I hoped was that I was aspiring to a goal of creating beautiful spaces for people to live in. I think that that was a valid thing to aspire to. But over a number of years, what I began to realize is that while my clients and I sat down and purportedly were moving towards creating something in their house that was functional, that worked for them, what was really going on underneath was this amazing, unfulfilled appetite, this voracious hunger that was never filled to have more and more and more and more. In the 12 years that I was in Washington, D.C., I had an occasion to go back and do a lot of repeat projects for people. And what I realized is that no matter what we had accomplished before, no matter how well the project had turned out, nobody was actually inhabiting, much less enjoying or appreciating where they lived. They were always looking forward to something more. If it had been a small project, they wanted to do something more in that house. If it had been a complete project, they were thinking about the summer house or the condo in Aspen or whatever. It was completely an inability to ever say, wow, let me stop for a minute. I just really, really feel lucky. I really appreciate what I have. And I saw it in myself. Not only were my clients running, racing, rushing to the next project, to the next thing to have, I was never satisfied with what I had accomplished. I kept moving to bigger, better, more elaborate projects. This racing, racing, racing just became relentless. When my clients would first come to me, almost to a person, they would say, Diane, what I really want is for this project, this house, to reflect me. I thought, sure, that's great. That's what I want too. It's what I wanted from my house. It took me probably 10 years to realize, whoa, be careful what you wish for. Because when I had certain clients that were difficult, that were demanding, that were in themselves and in their lives dissatisfied and negative and incapable of appreciating anything, that's exactly what was being reflected in their house and in the projects. The projects were rancorous, they were over budget, they were never satisfied, and I felt like it had not worked at all. By contrast, when I had people who were happy, grounded, well-balanced, who had the capacity to appreciate and love the things around them, their houses inevitably reflected that unity and harmony and balance that are basically the principles of good design. So, 15 years later, I have started a book called Interior Design, Renovating a Life. What I found in the years of working with people, and when I've looked at my own life ultimately, what I found was most of the time when people were calling on me, there was something they wanted to fix. When we would start the project, what they thought they wanted to fix was something in their house. But often, more often than I could believe after a period of time, what we were really talking about was something that they wanted to fix in their life. In most cases, the houses had to do with small things, things that had sort of deteriorated through a process of erosion, through neglect, through not being able to really attend to what needs to be maintained, to losing sight of what it takes to keep things balanced, the wrong emphasis. In my own life, before my marriage broke down, the same thing had happened. And what I realized is not only were these small things going wrong, but the entire foundation was cracking. The interior structure was really beginning to break apart and fall apart. There were parts where there had been so much tear and stress that it was really collapsing. This was both reflected in my house and in my life. I almost died, I lost my marriage, and I decided then that I needed to start a major renovation project. So I encourage all of you, when you go home to the house where you live, the biggest single home improvement you could make is to walk in and appreciate it.